What is up, guys? David Land here, coming to you again in Indianapolis 500 Evolution. I haven't done this in a while, and you're looking at the point standings as they stood after the Langhorne race, where we got passed and beat by our rival Parnelli Jones. Now, with 2 races to go in the 1962 season, we're not mathematically eliminated from the championship. It pays 10 points to win the race for a total of 20 points over the next 2 races, and we're 18 behind Parnelli Jones. So what needs to happen is we need to win out in the next 2 races, and Parnelli needs to score no points or very few points in the 2 races combined, and we'll be able to win the 1962 championship, backing up our 1961 championship. Now, welcome to the garage. This is something I haven't shown off yet in Indy 500 Evolution, but for the Trenton 300, a very tough 1.5 mile track, which is more or less a super speedway for these old classic Indy roadsters. So what you're looking at right now is my Epperly chassis. I've used this both in the 1961 and for the first half of the 1962 championship trail. And I've decided that for this race, we need to make an investment. And the investment I made was buying a year-old Watson Roadster. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Watson Roadster is kind of the revolutionary car, or the kind of definitive car of the Roadster era in Indianapolis car racing. This kind of was the end-all, be-all, the fastest of all of the Roadsters, kind of the ultimate of the breed. Now, this is a 1961 model. I kind of decided to go realistic with it. There wouldn't be a whole lot of 1962 model Watsons on the market because in real life they would be used by the teams that are competing against me. But it's realistic to have been able to buy a year-old 61 car from like A.J. Foyt or A.J. Watson's got one sitting around in the shop. So this is the car we're going to use at the Trenton 300. I did some testing with it, and I feel like it's just as fast, if not a little more fast, or a little faster, easy for me to say, than the Epperly chassis. But more importantly, it's more stable on the high banks of Trenton. And I feel like over a 50-lap race, which is the Trenton 300, this car is going to be the best weapon to use. So let's head to Trenton Motor Speedway and start qualifying for the Trenton 300. So here we are at Trenton Speedway, waiting for a few cars ahead of us in the qualifying line to go.
54.
Now, I was doing 133s in testing, and as you can see, the pole speed's probably going to be around 135.
Fantastic lap.
So I'm not going to qualify on the pole unless I really pull out an amazing lap here. And it looks like Bobby Grimm right now may hold on to the pole. We'll have to see what Parnelli Jones does. He goes to second, so he does not qualify on the pole. Bob Christie is probably not going to... Yeah, he's 10 miles an hour off of the pole speed. Roger Ward will be a threat. Let's see. He's in another Watson chassis. In fact, I think Parnelli Jones, Roger Ward, and Bobby Grimm are all in Watsons. So I'm right with the correct chassis choice, I think, for this race. Lloyd Ruby goes to P3. Pretty sure Lloyd Ruby is not in a Watson. Maybe he is. Maybe these are all Watson Roadsters. Rich Cook, I don't know who that is. I don't think that's a real driver. Eddie Sachs, I think, also in a Watson. So let's go out, let's qualify our new Watson chassis, and see if we can challenge Bobby Grimm for that pole position. Alright, so we're rolling out to start a qualification attempt. I will be ecstatic if we can get a mid 133 mile per hour lap here. We've got 2 laps and a warm-up, so we've got an opportunity to make this here, and I will be really happy if it's a 134 or 135 mile per hour attempt here. We'll just have to see how this goes. Car seems a little bit loose through 3 and 4 here, the high banked section, or the very fast turn on this track, where there's usually some contact and whatnot that we'll see later on. So heading off into turn 1 on the warm-up lap. The best line here, the fastest line, as the car bucks a little bit on entry. It's right down here to the white line, power off of the corner, maybe a little too much steering input there, and then through the right-hander here on the back straightaway. right next to the guardrail you like to be, and then down here into turn 3, lift kind of early, get it kind of stabilized, and then on the throttle, and hopefully carry a lot of speed and momentum onto the long main straightaway here at Trenton Motor Speedway. I think this is going to be a pretty decent lap here on the warm-up. We're going to have to see what we can do for the qualifying. Yeah, 133.6. Not bad, not bad. And this is kind of bad here. I don't know what that line was through turn 1, but I feel like this isn't going to be as fast as my warm-up. I always end up doing that. I'm really smooth and good on the warm-up lap, and then I kind of screw it up on the qualifying. So let's lift off here, try to carry that momentum. I think this is maybe one of the most important corners on the track to get right because of that straightaway here at Trenton. And let's see if we can get that Watson, this Watson, not that Watson, it's this Watson that we're looking at, up into the front of the field.
It's the final
yeah, 131, that's not good. So down a gear, try to really cut the corner off there. This is another sloppy lap. Good grief. Amazing that I can almost run 134 miles an hour and then screw up this bad on this lap. Hopefully we'll be back into the 132s. I'd like to be there, but I'm feeling like this may be slow too. Darn it. That will be... I really screwed up here if we can't even get to the 132s. And let's see. Yeah, I got back to the 132, so that's good. So not good. We qualified 12th. So wow, a tight field here. Let's take a look at the starting grid here. Yeah, now if I had done the 133 I'd done in qualifying, I would have been, or on the warm-up lap I would have been 8th. But we're out of the points right now. Boy, I may have really made a mistake here, because we're in fact lower, I think, than we were in the first race here, the Trenton 150 to start out. So it's going to be a difficult race. We got a long way to go, but we've got 50 laps to do it. So let's head to Trenton and start this race.
Welcome to Trenton International Speedway. This 1.5-mile oval track is very fast and a popular stop for all the drivers and teams.
Alright, so we are ready to go here for 50 laps at the Trenton International Speedway. Easy for me to say. Green is out. We're racing. Get a decent start. And not a very decent start because we get into Jim Hurtaby's just a little bit there. We're getting run into by Len Sutton there. A lot of cars go wide there at the first turn. I don't know why I shifted up into 4th gear immediately. And that's going to allow Bobby Marshman through. He was at 128, so we're getting passed by slower guys here. This is not good. Maybe I'm feeling like for a power track I should have probably gone with a 62 Offenhauser engine. Bought that instead of a new chassis. From a handling perspective, we're just going to have to see how this works out here. We fall into 14th. There's only 18 cars in this race. So, not too good yet. The first lap was kind of sloppy, but we have to see what we can do here. There's cars in the wall up there, and Jim McElreath just pulls down to the inside, and that took the line away from me to be able to go down to the inside. Thankfully, it looks like they're kind of slowing each other down up here a little bit, running in the pack, so I may be able to catch these guys up here. I'm just going to make sure that McElreath can't get underneath me in turn 1 this time. That's going to be the important thing, because if I can get that run through turn 1, I think I can really make up some time here, but we're going to have to be very careful. Troy Ruttman's starting to look to the inside there. 1952 Indianapolis 500 winner, I believe. So down a gear, right down to the bottom, and there's some contact. And that's A.J. Foyt getting taken out of the race. And there's a crash behind. I believe more cars getting in trouble. I heard some beating and banging. That's several cars getting eliminated from not necessarily the race. I don't think anybody really crashed very hard there, but several cars sustaining damage. Boy, oh boy. So now we're up to 12th. So we've actually gained a position from our qualifying spot, but we're still nowhere near the front. And that is going to be a bit problematic. So here we go into turn number 1 once again. Get that downshift correctly. Slide it in there just a little bit. That's good. And we just can't get that run on Len Sutton, though, yet. There's a wheel or part of a front end there sitting on the track. So I guess AJ was in a little bit more of an accident, like I said.
Number 17 makes a pit stop.
There you go, 17 was involved. We'll see, that's Roger McCluskey. So Dick Rathman, Jim McElreath, and AJ Foyt all taken out in that crash, or at least taken out of contention in that crash. It'll be interesting to see if they turn into lap traffic here. I see them all in the pit. So at least everybody limped around. And we continue on in the race.
No fuel this time for car number 15.
So 15's out of the pits. And we're going to have to wait to see which car that is, because I know all the names, I just don't know all the numbers. 15 is McElreath. Alright, so McElreath was the guy who was battling with us earlier in the race during the first few laps. And here we go, we're catching this group of cars up here. So let's see if we can battle with Len Sutton. The car understeers just a little bit through 3 and 4.
Stop for car number 9.
That's going to hurt my exit. Drat. I felt like I was really catching them then, and then it just went away. So here we go into turn 1. Get that downshift there. Car kind of erratic there in the middle of the pack, getting way up next to the wall. I didn't really gain anything on him there, but I guess I didn't really lose anything either. That's kind of important. But we're not even in the points. Like, you only score points for the top 8 here. Now there are points on the table up there, certainly. I can pass some of these guys. But this is kind of what I'm calling the Trenton curse. Every time I come to Trenton, I just can't really compete all that well. In fact, the best run I've ever had at this track was, in fact, the first race, I believe, at this track in this game. The first one I did. I actually had a pretty decent race. Had a little bit of contact, I believe, with Don Branson. And that kind of took us out of the race. Now they're 3 wide ahead. That is a little... And in fact, Don Branson is in this group here. So we'll be very cautious there through the right-hander dog leg there. We've got to be so careful because there could be some serious... I mean, again, you touch wheels in this game. It is open wheel car racing. You know, these are Indy cars still, and you touch wheels, even back in these days, you're going to go for a flyer. I mean, aerodynamics were not quite what they are these days, where you see the horrible, extreme flying that cars have when they touch wheels these days. But even back in these days, you could tumble. I mean, there's quite a few videos out there, like the Indianapolis 500, for example. I think 1960, there was a really spectacular accident where several cars got upside down. Nobody was hurt, but it was just very spectacular because there was like a car stuck in the middle of the track, and then as cars slowed up to kind of avoid the car spun, a few guys got together and they touched wheels, and somebody went barrel rolling down the front straightaway. Just really crazy action from these days. So let's really get going here. Come on, third gear. Just sliding the car the whole way through the corner. I really like to get around this group because once we get around this group, I feel like we're not going to be slowed up quite as much. So let's go here. Through the dog leg. Eddie Sachs getting all sorts of out of shape. We'll take advantage there. He tried to avoid Don Branson and kind of hurt himself. But that means Sachs will probably be back behind us. I'll try to take a look once we get on the straightaway here. Where is Eddie Sachs? No, he fell back quite a ways, actually. So we won't have to worry quite as much about Eddie Sachs coming up into the first turn again. But Don Branson, this is a thing in this game. The AI hold grudges against you. It's actually a really fun gameplay mechanic. So me and Don Branson, if you haven't been watching this series, have a bad relationship. We've been in a lot of accidents together. We've made a lot of contact. So he will race me dirty. He's not going to race me as clean as maybe another driver like Eddie Sachs, who doesn't really hate me all that much, would. So as you can see there, I kind of slid under Branson and just didn't really make a good decision there. And now we've got to battle Eddie Sachs a little bit here. We've got to be a little bit dirty with him, unfortunately. And he's going to just drive around the outside. So now, Eddie Sachs with a good move there, but he's going to understeer and make a little bit of contact with the wall, I believe. And now Lloyd Ruby, who qualified very well, is falling back here into the clutches of me. along with Don Branson there. So obviously Lloyd Ruby was may have been the guy who was really slowing that group down, because he qualified oh so well, and now he's back in the back here. Eddie Sachs is all over the back of me, and that's going to make things a little bit difficult here heading into turn 1, because he's going to get that big draft, I think, heading down the main straightaway. Maybe. He's not there, so I guess we'll use our nice low line here and try to get that run on Don Branson, because Lloyd Ruby's slowing him up quite a bit. And can we make it 3 wide? I really don't want to have to do it, but we'll try. Don Branson gets a little bit squirrely underneath Lloyd Ruby. I guess he was on the outside for the right-hander, but on the inside for turn 3. And we're just struggling for power. I mean, if I slide the car even a little bit, we just don't have the get up and go to get back down the straightaway. So I have to be oh so smooth to be able to make up time on these guys. Oh, and Eddie Sachs just punts me from behind, and he got up in the wall and loses a wheel. So, and more crashing happening behind. Somebody made contact with Eddie Sachs, and I can't say I really feel much sympathy for Eddie Sachs for doing that. That was a bit out of line, and certainly he caused that accident for sure, to use an Emerson Fittipaldi quote, which makes no sense because this is a game from the 60s. I don't know, maybe I feel like maybe I should downshift into third in turn 3. I just don't know how to really make that corner faster for me. Get that drive off of the corner. There's Eddie Sachs' wheel up there in the top of the corner, and part of his car is still laying out across the back straightaway here. So we'll get that run down right next to the guardrail there. We got a run on Ruby. Can we pass him, though? He's going to swing out wide.
Car number 2 makes a pit stop.
And you can see just more drive off the corner for Lloyd Ruby there than we have. And we just can't get up there. And this is kind of really unfortunate. I mean, it's not like it would really matter anyway in terms of the championship, because it looks like Parnelli Jones is probably... No, Parnelli is in third. I mean, that's still going to essentially clinch him the championship from me.
No fuel this time.
Thankfully, the debris magically went away before I ran over. I was about to comment that I'm going to run over some debris. There we go. Around Lloyd Ruby, finally. Finally got him. And now we can set our sights on Don Branson here. And run around the bottom a little bit. That's not too bad. That was not a bad line through there. But are we going to stay ahead of Lloyd Ruby? No, he's getting a big run down the main straightaway here, and it almost looks like he's gonna come to the inside. I'm just waiting for it. Nope, he's not there. He didn't make the move. Wasn't close enough to make the move, I should say. We slid just a little bit through turn 1. We're not quite up to the back of Don Branson yet, but we are starting to make some moves. We've got 2 positions to go before we get up into the points paying positions here. So everything is not great yet, but, you know, whatever. I really should have thrown everything at the trying to win this race, because I really should have just bought the 62 Offenhauser engine. That's what really, I think, that's where we're really struggling. So for the last race, I think I'll probably purchase the 62 Offenhauser. And then for 63, for sure, we're going to buy completely updated equipment. I'm not sure on the chassis choice yet, if we're going to stick with the Watson or go back to the Epperly. We'll have to see. I think the next race is Milwaukee, so I think we'll run the Epperly again. Or maybe we'll run the Watson. I mean, we'll be out of the championship at that point. It won't really matter all that much what chassis I choose. So we may test the Watson. I considered also just kind of a meta, not talking about kind of the role-playing I'm doing in this game, but I considered going with a rear-engine car, or at least testing one at the end of this season. I think the only choice really is the Thompson, or I could have gone with the Cooper, but that car is already, I'm pretty sure, uncompetitive. So I considered going with the rear-engine car, but I think when I truly will make the switch, or at least experiment with making the switch, is at the end of the 63 season. I'll try to convince Colin Chapman to sell me an old Lotus. And for 64, I think I may switch to rear-engined, fully to the rear-engined Revolution. Because definitely, as we get a little bit squirrely off of turn 1, but that seemed like a pretty fast line. Definitely, I think 64 is going to be when the real revolution really begins. Because the fast guys like AJ and Parnelli are going to be quick in their front-engine cars, but I don't think really anybody else is going to really be competitive in a front-engine car, especially when Lotus comes here with Jim Clark and later Graham Hill and not Tony Stewart, Jackie Stewart. It's going to be tough to be competitive in a front-engine car. I mean, I'm struggling to be competitive in a front-engine car against front-engine cars, so that's the commentary on that. So now we're catching Don Branson. We get up into 4th gear, try to pass him here in the dog leg. Ooh, we're going to get a little side-by-side action going. Branson's going to understeer just a little bit, and we just can't get around him, and we're going to struggle through 3 and 4. Look at the revs just fall off. We really struggle in turn 3. That is where I am losing so much time. All the way down the straightaway, and then I gain it all back in turn 1. By downshifting, getting the car turned right down to the grass or the dirt there. It's not really grass that close to the racetrack because I think a lot more people use my line there. Right down next to the wall. Oh, contact with Don Branson. Oh boy. Well, we didn't want to do that, and we ended up doing it. At least I can shift down into 3rd gear confidently this time. You can see the revs still fall off. But we're still a second ahead of Troy Ruttman. Now he's starting to catch up. But we actually kind of ruined Don Branson's run off of turn 3 and 4, and we're actually going to maybe sneak to the inside of him here if he doesn't get too cross with me. Let's see, is he going to swing wide? Yes, he's going to swing wide. Can we get that drive off of the corner? Yes, we can. Cut in front of Branson and make that pass. So, we are good. We're by Don Branson. I actually had to lift through the dogleg because I did not get a very good run through there. And lift off at the throttle again. Get through 3 and 4. Just a little bit wide through here. Trying so hard not to lose. Wow, okay. As you can see, case in point, turn 3 is not a good corner for me. Not at all. Not at all. Downshift into 3rd. That is a car coming up behind me. Heard the roar of a Offenhauser engine. And then we'll get another draft off of Branson. We're going to have to clear Branson. Actually, battle him into turn 3 here. Let's see. A little bit of understeer. Boy, it's just I'm gonna just start downshifting in turn 3. I think that's the only real way to get power through this corner. Thankfully, it doesn't look like we'll have to make a pit stop during this race. I was concerned about that given the length of the race, but it's looking like we're not going to have to deal with that. So here we go, back another run, off of turn 1 always. So I'm going to try downshifting in 3 this time. I think that's going to be how I'm going to have to do it. So we're going to lift off. As soon as it goes under 60, we're going to downshift. There we go. Okay, now power through. Whole way through the corner. I don't care that I'm on the red line. And shift up. Did we gain or lose any time doing that? I feel like I lost a little. I'm going to try different, experiment with different things here. So if I shift as we're exiting the corner, I think I'm going to be much better off. So here we go, 4th gear. We're half a second behind Branson. Try to get that big run through the dog leg, which we do. And then into turn 3. And up to the red line. Shift up like I just did. And maybe a little bit better off. We are gaining it. We gained a 10th on Branson down the straightaway. So that seems like it's the best way to go about cornering at Trenton. So we've got that figured out. Now let's just pass Don Branson. The rivalry continues. I mean, we're only in 10th place. We're not even 9th place. We're not even fighting. If we can pass Branson, we're not even fighting for a point yet. But at least the car is nice and stable in 3rd gear down there, down under the white line. And we get off of the corner. He got a better exit than me, but it's not as good of an exit as they have been getting on me recently. We're in the at the beginning of the race. Took us to the halfway mark of the race to figure out how to corner properly at Trenton. But for 63, I think we're going to finally try to break the curse of Trenton. Now I've got to be very careful here, lift off a little bit. And Branson's going to play a little bit dirty there. He kind of faded over on me. And downshifted. Keep the throttle up. 4th gear. Nope, he's pulling away again. Boy, it's just this is a tough race. This is a really tough race. It's so hard to fight with Don Branson to get. I mean, I will give this game all the credit in the world. It is tough. They make it tough. You can make it as hard on yourself as you want to. If you turn off all the AI assists and turn up the AI difficulty, turn off the racing line, and don't buy all the new equipment immediately, I think you're really in for a treat. This is a fun game. Challenging, but fun. And, boy, turn 3 and 4 is maybe the most frustrating thing. I keep saying it, but boy, we are just so slow through there. It's unbelievable. Especially off of the corner. That's where the real speed losses accumulated. Here you can see how fast we are through turn 1. Just completely right on the tail of Don Branson off of there. We get through turn 2, just not right because he was kind of sitting on the apex. Fair play to him. He's got the corner. He can do that. But and then into 4th, off of the corner. He's still pulling away down the straightaway. I just do not know how to get a better run off of the corner to get to Don Branson's tail. Make that pass. So down right to the grass, in fact in the grass. And I really drove that corner hard. I probably drove it way harder than I needed to. But we've got to drive hard to make up our time here that we're losing. In the grass again. So I'm just going to red line it the whole way, and then boom, as soon as we're straight, we're going forward. But again, he's pulling away. Okay, lap traffic might be a bit of a saving grace for me here, trying to catch Don Branson. If he catches the traffic where I think he's going to catch it, you can see the blue car, the second blue car up ahead of us there is a lap car. Don Branson's about to catch him, and when he does, hopefully he gets held up just enough that I can make a run on him here. Try to get around. He is up in the gray stuff. Didn't really get through turn 1 quite as well as I would have liked. The tires are worn too. We got 10 laps to go here, or coming up to 10 laps to go, I believe. He's going to catch him in turn 3, which may hold him up, may not. Just going to have to see what happens here. No, he's going to catch him in the perfect spot for him because he's just going to pull around. Oh, the lap car blocked him a little bit. Hang on a second. Oh boy, we're getting the run on Don Branson here. Now what I need to do here is get around Don Branson as quickly as possible. If I can do it. And then pass the lap car in turn 3 here. So we'll get around Branson. 4th gear. Got to be very tough on Branson here. There we go. Through the corner. Now we've got to get around the lap car. The 3rd gear. Branson's going to come up right behind me. I managed to block him, which is great. And now, right next to the wall, Branson and I are going to go side by side, but he's going to fall back just a little bit and almost into the clutches of Ruttman. And now, can I get underneath the lap car? really start to pull away here. Maybe drove a little too hard into turn 1. Got to keep ahead, though, of Branson here. So, boom, through turn 2, as fast as I can go. Rich Cook is the car. Car number 76. So, usually a car number in the 70s means it's a fantasy driver. So, Rich Cook, the fantasy driver, going to get a big draft off of him. It looks like he is in, I don't know what chassis that is. I think it's a... I don't remember exactly what chassis that is. And almost got into the back of me there, but kept him behind me. Now we'll get through turn 1 as best I can there. And there we go. In fact, Ruttman has moved past Branson. So Branson really got hurt through that. And now the lap car is holding up Ruttman, hopefully, as we get through turn 3 here. Try to get through as fast as possible and just hold him off for 7 laps now. Oh no, Ruttman's there. He got around the lap car. Oh, that's the one thing. That's what I didn't want to see in the mirror. Definitely did not want to see that in the mirror. Okay, so we'll lift off. We'll try to get the good turn 1 because this is where I can really make up some time here. Yeah, a little on the grass there. Wasn't the best turn 1 I've done all day. Turn 2, I can also make up some big time here. Cutting that off pretty well. I feel like Ruttman's going to make a move as well, though. It's like he laid in wait the whole race. And now he's coming up on me when it counts. Yeah, there he is. So we're going to come over on him a little bit. He's in an Epperly, too. In fact, both he and Branson are in Epperly chassis, which is the chassis I forgot. Or it's the, what am I saying here? I forgoed the chassis produced by Epperly, and looks like I'm gonna get, well, and now Branson's back around Ruttman, which is a little bit concerning. So I don't think I have any beef with Ruttman, but I certainly do with Branson. Now we're understeering through turn 3, and Branson gets around again. I really should have run the low line in turn 3, and I did not. And I've been bamboozled. So we get down a gear. I slide the car a little bit. Branson's getting up very wide there. The problem at the end of these races is it's so hard to drive because you have worn tires, and you know, these tires don't give a lot of grip to begin with, so when you take away grip from them, you really start to struggle. And as you can see, just sliding out incredibly a lot and losing now position to Ruttman as well. And we're coming up to, I believe, 3 laps to go. Or 4 laps to go, yeah, 4 to go. Wow, look at the sliding. Lots of sliding. That's what happens when you have a very long race. At least we're 7 seconds ahead of Eddie Johnson, so we don't have to worry too much about getting passed by anybody else. It looks like we're really going to have to fight for our right to party here behind these 2 guys. So I guess now I'm just going to run the low line because it's the safe way around that corner, and Johnson is catching up too. Dang, we're not going to score any, well, I mean, points were off the table pretty early on in this race, but now everything else is starting to look off the table, even a top 10. And we should have a theoretical 9th position here. It's just not working out that way. So through the dog leg once again. Just a little bit of a lift there. Right down on the grass. Guess we're keeping it in 4th this time. Don't know how much it's helping or hurting the lap. Guess it wasn't too bad. We're coming up to 2 laps to go. We're going to get the white flag next time around. And a bad corner once again for me. So we are right mid-pack too, because there's 22 cars in the race. And it looks like we're set for 11th place to finish this thing, which is not championship caliber. And it essentially awards the championship to Parnelli Jones with one race to go after this one. Thankfully, I think the next race will be at Milwaukee.
It's the final lap.
So that helps matters in terms of Milwaukee is a track that really works for me in this game. I usually win by a very large margin at Milwaukee. So that'll be a good thing. And also, just to throw this out there, you'll be seeing a lot of Indy 500 Evolution in the month of May. Because this these IndyCar games will fully take the place of NASCAR games for the month of May. So people will be upset about that probably, but it's Indy 500 month, and you're lucky you're getting any gameplay footage at all. So checkered flag is out. Trenton, bad race, not too good. So Bobby Grimm won from the pole position. Parnelli Jones finishes in second, but he ran the fastest lap of the race. Only driver in the 39-second bracket. As we go down through the rest of the field, pretty much everybody else finished the race, so that's good, but we didn't score any championship points. Not too good. So I believe, well, let's take a look at the championship standings after this and see how far behind we are of Parnelli Jones. So as you can see, Parnelli is pretty much set in the championship. He's absolutely set, actually, with a 20-point lead over Bobby Grimm, who has moved up into second in the points after his victory. And I've fallen to third in a tie with Shorty Templeman in the points. So not too good. We've got the Milwaukee 200 up next, so I believe that's going to be another 50-lapper, but that should be a little bit shorter because it is a 1-mile circuit. So thank you guys so much for watching Indy 500 Evolution. Please leave a like if you like this series. I know a lot of people do, so remember to support it, and we'll see you in the next video.